Hello, my name is Kyle Lopez and I will be in Ashley's audience today.
Have you always wanted to try to make art, but did not feel experienced or crafty enough? Well, I'm here to tell you today that anyone can create beautiful work of art simply by pouring paint together. I have actually been painting for a couple years now. I've been acrylic pour painting just recently because my mother introduced me to it, and I really wish that I would have started with that in the first place because it's super easy, it's super fun, and it's a great hobby to have. So let's get started. What is pour painting? Pour painting creates art by pouring different fluid of paints directly onto the canvas and moving it around. You can move it side to side, up and down. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. It's just how it feels to you and what looks good to spread the colors out. Kohl's 2017 actually describes a different terminology for pour painting, and they call it the dirty pour. And this is just a different term of acrylic pour painting. It's basically when you take a cup and you fill it with your paints and then you dump it on the canvas. So that's called the dirty pour. Jacobsmeyer 2018 had stated that pour painting was discovered by David Siqueiros, and it was actually accidental discovery for his painting technique, and this was in 1930 that it happened. He did this by pouring different colors of paint onto a wooden panel, and it resulted in the paints that spread, merged, and infiltrated with each other. So let's get started. What you need, here's a list that I have provided for you. What you need is plastic cups, stir sticks, acrylic paint, 2 or more colors of your choice, pouring medium, you could use glue or Floetrol, canvas, water, silicone spray or drops, blow dryer or torch, thumbtacks, craft paper, newspaper, plastic. Those are optional. It's just so you don't make a huge mess. And painter's spatula, which is optional, and gloves are optional as well. So the colors that I have chosen today is this blue, green, black, and white. I actually have 3 of these colors already mixed up because it takes quite a while to get your colors to mix together because you want the correct consistency so it flows. If you get it too thick, I have found out that it just kind of sticks there and you can't move it from side to side as well. And if your paint is too thick, it could actually crack. So what I have is the white mixed up, the green mixed up, and the blue, but I'm going to show you how to mix up the black here and to create a good consistency. So you need one of your plastic cups, and I'm going to use Elmer's glue. And what you need is a half-half consistency. So you need half of it to be your glue, half of it to be your paint, and then you might have to put some water, which I always do to help thin it out. So I got the glue there. Here's my black, and you don't really have to worry about making a huge mess on your canvas because you're going to pour the paint on it anyway. So I'll mix it up in there. And glue tends to be a little bit more thicker, so Floetrol is a little bit more on the runnier side, so you can always use that. When you're choosing your colors, you want to kind of make something or pick a color that will actually blend nice, because I've had some paintings come out that I've mixed the colors, and once they touch and they kind of combine, they end up looking a little bit on the muddy side. And I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not super pretty. It's not as pretty as it could be. So I'm going to grab some water because the consistency is not right. You want it to kind of be like a soupy ice cream. So just start by pouring a little bit of water because you don't want to get it too runny because then you'll have to add more glue and you'll have to add more of your paint. But that isn't even sliding off. And when you're mixing, make sure you get all the sides so you don't have like a big glob of glue. Get the bottom, really mix that around. go stir crazy. So that's why we had these colors mixed up ahead of time, just because I would be mixing all day on this speech. And that would take at least 15-20 minutes, if not more. I need a little bit more water here. So the silicone, I'm not going to add quite yet. The silicone is actually, it helps you make and create the cells. That kind of does the breakaways in there. Let's see here. So that is running pretty good. I wanted a little bit more watery. So I'll add a little bit more here. Because you essentially want it to just slide off of your canvas. Still a little sticky in some parts. I just need to mix a little better here. A little more water. This is why I said this usually takes the longest amount of time. Because the water should just flow like, or the paint should flow like it's water. And you see how that's stringing down completely? That's the type of consistency that you want. All right, so we have the black done. Here's the white. It's running very well. Here is my green running very well. Here is the blue running very well. Okay, so for your canvas, you're going to want to flip it over, grab your thumbtacks, and poke holes in each corner, and you'll want the thumbtacks to be sticking in there. The reason for doing this, adding the thumbtacks, is so that when you pour the paint on your canvas, you're not going to have the canvas sticking to your paper. You want it to kind of fall off the edge so you can scrape off the edges here. So it kind of ends up creating a little gap in there. You can tell there's a little gap where I can stick my finger in there, and that's kind of what you want. All right, so now here comes the fun part of adding your colors. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab, I don't want to use too much black, but we're gonna start with our white. And I just add a little bit there. And then I'm gonna go with my blue. Pour a little bit in there, and you just pour it directly on top of that. My green, I'm going to go back to white just because I do not want the black and the green to mix, because I'm afraid that might turn out a little bit on the muddy side. And we'll go blue. There's really no rhyme or reason. You just want to make sure that your colors, if they end up mixing together, aren't going to be too muddy-ish looking, but if you like muddy, then that's perfect. So I'm gonna add some white onto that. This one I am not doing any type of silicone in this cup. My next cup I will add some silicone, and like I said, you can do the drops or you can do the spray, but I technically like the spraying. I don't know why, I just prefer to spray it. Alright, so I'm going to do a little bit of black in that one. And my spray here, it's right here. Just shake it a little bit, spray it in the cup. Easy enough. And you can alternate with that. So like I could go the blue, I don't have to add the silicone. Then I'll do the green, and then I'll add a little bit of silicone to that green. Then I'm going to go white, add some silicone, and that just creates some nice cells in there that you'll be able to see here. And a little bit. There's my blue. Add some black, silicone. You can kind of do whatever you want. It's kind of just a learning thing. There's really no correct way to do it. Art can be very abstract and beautiful no matter how you do it. So I'm going to finish off the blue in this. See, I got a little bit of paint on there. It doesn't really matter. There's my green. All right. Now I have those mixed up. So I have one with silicone, one with just regular fluid. I'm going to take this black and I'm just going to pour it around my edge here. That's the beauty of pour painting. All right. So what I will take is I will take a spatula and I'll kind of just run that off the side. Like I said, this is kind of a messy craft, so if you want gloves, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to move these out of the way so you can see this. And then see how that's just flowing off the side? You want to get your corners just so you're not having to worry about that later. You can always go back through and do it, but here's that, some more black. I'm just going to kind of make a border for it. And then, of course, your other colors will kind of clash with it. That's okay. And like I said, it's super important when you mix your colors that you need to make sure they're thin enough, because if they're too thick, your canvas on your paint, it can crack a bit. So I'm going to put this just a little bit right there, some of the white. And I almost did a no-no. Wipe off your thing before you start spreading it around, because otherwise you end up muddling your colors. So I just wanted to add a little bit of a pop to this side here with a little bit of the white. All right, now the fun part is this. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to dump it on top. Here we go. There's one right there and one right there. And if you didn't do the border, you can always flip your canvas and dump the cup with it, just so it's not so crazy. You can see it pouring out a little bit there. So I'm going to take this. I'm just going to tap it a bit. Now I'm going to lift up. And there is quite a bit. You'll get better with it with the paint. Sometimes you end up wasting some, but you can just tap it off the side here to get the excess paint. And you can always reuse what you didn't use in your cup if you just put it in a safe place. So right here, you have the big blobby looking thing. But what we're going to do is we're going to start moving it around. And it's going to fall. It's going to get messy. But you don't have to have a certain way. If you see a color, like the colors you want brought out more, like I want some of this blue and green, I'm going to tilt it and shift a little bit, because I want some of those shown. Now my other ones, I'm going to turn it here, and you see how it's coming off the edges there? That's good. So this makes a huge mess, but it's very, very cool. I'm going to pour this, make sure my edges are covered. You can tell, see the sides are covered. I'm going to go back through here just so I can get that little piece, and then it's stretching out more of my color. You can see that. So if you want more color, depending on where you go, just move it with it. All right. To me, I think that looks good. I have some nice blue-green up in the corner here. So what I'm going to take is a paper towel, just to kind of get some of that excess paint off my hands here, because I didn't use gloves. I'm pretty bad about that. But what is art if you can't make a mess? Now I'm going to take the blowtorch here, or this is an embosser, which is nice. You can use a blow dryer. Also, I like to use that. And this is kind of loud, so I'm just going to show you that I work from side to side just to get the air bubbles out, because you don't want it to form like a big bubble. It takes them out. Just go from side to side. You'll see the air bubbles popping. And it actually creates more cells for you. Alright, could not shut that off. So I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to, I see a corner here that I've missed, so you can also just move it like that to get more of that paint to come. Alright, perfect. And then I'm going to move it back just a little bit because I want some of that black corner to hit. Alright, I'm going to show you up close what this looks like. There's a lot of pretty colors in there. So, lastly, you're going to want to clean off your edges so you don't have that paint hanging out there. You can do that with your stir stick. So here's my edge right here, and you're just going to scrape along the bottom to get the hanging stuff off. Scrape along the bottom. And if you have some spots that aren't covered completely, take your stick and dip it in the excess that you have here and just kind of tap in those corners to fill it up. But there is a beautiful marble painting that was super easy to do. So I wanted to show you that art is something simple, it is easy, it's something that everyone can do. And now all I have to do is let this dry. So if you want a fun, relaxing, messy hobby, acrylic pour painting is for you. And if you want to get a little bit more technical, there's YouTube videos that you can watch to do a little bit more technical work with it. And you can create something fun. So if you can pour paint, you can create.